everyone, welcome back to my channel. So hopefully you are coming in from watching my vlog at last Tuesday where you saw what I finished up the month with. But if you are new here, my name is Jen, and I hope that you stick around. We can, talk in the comments. You can head on over to my Patreon, become a member. I do giveaways. I have a monthly book club on there. I have more and more perks that are being added each month. Let's talk books over there. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this video. Leave me comments below because I love to know everyone's feedback on any and all of these books. So let's dive right into my July wrap up. I don't know how many books I read. I didn't count them up, but it was quite a month, up and down. So this is in no order, but the first book I'm going to talk about is Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman. This is following Katie Rose, or as her real name is Kathleen Rosenberg. She is a pop's rock star sensation, and she is dating a guy from a different band, and they become, popular, up and coming. Well, she ends up having an affair with one of his bandmates before they break up, so there is cheating in here. That's kind of like at the very beginning, you hear about that. It's even on the back, so that's not a spoiler for anybody. What I really loved about this book is, again, just like Funny You Should Ask, you go from then, where you learn what happened in the past, and then now, and you flop back and forth. You get to know the characters, what happened then, what is happening now. It's 10 years, ever since the incident happened, just like how Funny You Should Ask was. I actually loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. I loved it more than Funny You Should Ask, but I know that there's been a lot of controversy around this where people feel like it's the same book, or that it was boring, they couldn't get connected with the characters. And I definitely see that. I really, really do. I think that I just love it, maybe because I loved Funny You Should Ask as much as I did. So going in, I already knew her writing style. I already knew how she fleshed out the characters and stuff. So I really, really enjoyed it. This is a contemporary romance. There is hardly any spice in here, maybe just a little. But it's a really quick read. If you've read Funny You Should Ask, definitely, give this a try. It's about rock stars and then being on Broadway and a musical. So if any of that really floats your fancy, definitely pick this up. I do suggest this for anybody. But just know going in that if you are not into a quick read, maybe characters that aren't fully fleshed out, characters that don't have like a huge background and stuff, and it's just kind of like almost reading like an expose in a journal rather than reading an actual in-depth novel is how I would kind of correlate that to. But like I said, 4 stars. I absolutely loved it. I'm going to give it, Alyssa Sussman another try. The next book that I am going to talk about is a huge sensation right now, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I did give this book 5 stars. This book started out, the first 15 or 16 chapters, I was not into it. I was not liking it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And then the whole dragon choosing part happened, and then it caught my attention, and then it just took off. I could not stop reading it. I couldn't put it down. I ended up even buying it on audio just so I could finish it up while I was at work. And I had that in my first vlog, I believe, my first weekly vlog of July. But this book is truly amazing. I just couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of the characters. I couldn't get enough of the dragons. The whole world building, the lore and everything. It's so fresh and unique, and I absolutely love it. It gives you that dark academia vibes. The love interest is just by far amazing and addicting, and I can't get enough of it. There are people that have issues with this book, and what's really funny is I watched a booktuber who posted a video about how she's among the 0.1% of putting videos out there about all of the problems that she had with this book. Don't get me wrong. I feel like this book definitely has, some issues. The writing, the plot, the characters. There's some things that are wrong, but for the overall book, the overall plot, the overall character development and story development, I feel like was so well done, kept you so gripped till the very end that, I mean, you get those little minor blips and you're just like, you know what, that isn't a big deal because I was obsessed with this book. And that's why it gets 5 stars. Normally I would give it 4 stars because there were some, issues throughout the book. However, I give it 5 stars because of how it made me feel. I am still almost a month later thinking about this book, wanting to read the second one. That means it's a 5 star for me. Like, if I just can't get it out of my head, if I can't quit thinking about it and talking about it and, scouring the internet for signed, editions of Iron Flame that's coming out, then, what does deserve a 5 star? So I ate it up. I loved it. I can't wait for Iron Flame to come out. So definitely worth the hype in my opinion. Then the next book that I'm going to talk about that I did read is Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. This book, if you watched my weekly vlog, the first one of July, this one is a literary fiction, and I don't really like literary fiction. I did enjoy this book. It's not a 5 star for me. It's not one that I'm going to keep on my shelves. It did what it was supposed to do. I enjoyed my time while I was reading it. However, there are a lot of issues with this book. There is cheating. There is, traumatic relationships. There is suicide ideology. There is attempted suicide. There are so many things that happen in this book. It talks about mental health and depression and, all of that. So, going into this book, it is a very heavy read. It is not a fun, lighthearted book. Check trigger warnings, please, because if any of that affects you, I highly suggest do not read this book. But, I enjoyed it for what it was. It gave me an eye-opener to where that I might like literary fiction in, like, small doses, but definitely not this heavy of a book. I had some issues as I was going through because I struggle with depression. I do have, depression and anxiety. And so, whenever they're talking about it and things are happening in the book and such, it kind of affected me. So, I'm definitely going to be getting rid of it, but, I'm really happy that I did read it. And like I said, if anybody likes literary fiction out there, you may enjoy this book, but please make sure you check the trigger warnings because there are some very hard-hitting topics, and I don't want somebody going in thinking that, it's a literary fiction, it's a lit fic, but doesn't know about all of the, trigger warnings and things that happen. So just be on the lookout for that. The next one was a 1 star for me, My Dream Lover by David Navaria. I'm really not even going to talk about this book much, to be honest with you guys. I don't even know how I got it. It says I got it in a Goodreads giveaway, but I can't see it on my Goodreads that I want it. So it just came from another dimension. But I read this and I couldn't even tell you what it's about. It was terrible. I hated my time reading it. It's only like 180 pages. I don't even understand because they talk about like how love can transcend the barriers of time itself. How? Like I don't know. It's 180 pages. It's supposed to be a fiction romance, but I didn't enjoy it. I don't know where the book came from. I gave it 1 star. I talked more about it in my first weekly vlog of July. So if you want to go back and hear my thoughts on that, you can definitely do that. The next one was a DNF in July, and I was so sad about it because I love this cover. I was so excited to get to it and read it, and I just couldn't get past it. And that is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. So this book is a fantasy romance, yes. However, it's very whimsical. It is very like lyrical and poetic, and the way that the story is written, the way that the characters interact with each other and stuff, it was just so, I don't even know, like out there. So I don't know. It's weird. The book is, people are saying that it is a lyrically crafted tale of a longing sibling loyalty and the importance of women in a time when women were so often overlooked. I don't understand. This is about a girl who ends up in the Goblin King's realm, and her and her sister are there, but I guess they can play tricks and make you think that like something is happening whenever it's not happening. So her sister thinks that she's married and she's not. The Goblin King wants to marry her, but they keep talking about her piano and her, all of it's so weird, guys. I just couldn't get through it. That's just how it is. DNF, I couldn't get through it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the plot. I didn't like anything about this book. So if you do like a lyrical, whimsical tale, if you like, one that's not going to be like super spicy, but also a fantasy romance type thing, you might enjoy this. Just know going in that it is quite different than what you would normally expect from a fantasy romance. The next one that I'm going to talk about is the one that my husband bought me, which is Wings Once Cursed and Broken or Bound by Piper J. Drake. I gave this 3 stars. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's about Thai mythology and gods and such. And you are following our female main character. I guess she is like a canary, a bird princess is what she is. You don't really learn much about Thai mythology or legends in here. I didn't quite understand like why it just started off with like these slippers that are going to make you, dance until you die, and she can't get them off of her feet, and then you have like the love interest who just shows up and is like, you're going to die. Come with me. I don't understand. Anyway, I would probably say 70% into the book, it finally starts getting somewhat decent. I'm not going to continue on. I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoy my husband buying me these books because he buys books that, maybe I typically wouldn't pick up. So, there's that. It's a pretty good, it's a YA. It's not very thick, so I mean, you could get through it pretty quickly. I think there's only like 290 pages. So it's not bad if you want something that's a little bit different. It deals with like Thai mythology, legends, and gods. If you want something that is quite different from what is on the shelves now, definitely give it a try. It's not terrible, and you may end up loving it a lot more than I did. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. It gave me, what I needed at the time. The next one we're going to talk about is Between Wrath and Mercy. Boy, I've talked about this a lot in the past week. I just did my weekly vlog that wrapped up on this past Tuesday. So if you want my in-depth thoughts as I was reading this, definitely go watch that vlog. But this terrible book is finally going to be off of my shelves. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. This is beautiful. Why are people loving this book? That's what I want to know. Why are people talking about this book saying that it is amazing and it's not? So, and of course, that is my take on it. You may love it. I don't like it. The story took way too long to really get going. There was way too much going on. You have her daughter who's like the beloved or the chosen, whatever they call it, and she gets kidnapped, but then you find out that it's her father, Faxon, who sold her to the neighboring kingdom. And then you have the mother who goes to the Bloody Prince and asks for his help, but guess what? Her and the Bloody Prince have a past, and they once had a hookup, a thing, and they haven't seen each other in like 16 or 17 years. And, she's been married to Faxon, living away. And then he ends up, the Bloody Prince ends up helping her. And as we're following them along, all we're getting is everybody around them being like, why don't you give Rainier another chance? Why are you and Rainier not together? Listen, she is married, people. Married. Okay, has a ring on her finger, has a daughter with this guy. She's married. Stop talking about her past with Rainier. And Rainier needs to stop trying to persuade her to like hook up with him. And she needs to get out of her mind all of these things about like, well, Rainier's so hot. Look at those muscles, blah, blah, blah. Lady, you're married. Okay? It doesn't matter that your husband betrayed you, okay, and sold, you know, your daughter, right? Like, that doesn't matter. You are married until you either get a divorce or one of you die. So for me, I had such a hard time with that because the author did so much about building up their that she was married, and then like the whole time you're reading this book, it's always like Rainier this, Rainier that. Why are you not with Rainier? I just couldn't handle that. And then she does cheat on her husband, and then she ends up killing her husband. Like, okay, there's just problems. And then like her husband hasn't even been dead a week, and now she's engaged to Prince Rainier. I don't know. Go try it. Just go try it. I think I gave this 2 or 3 stars, maybe 2 stars, possibly. I'm not going to continue, not at all. So you can go try it if you want to. I have questions for people of why they like it. Not that it's bad. You can like whatever book you want to like, 100%. I just want to know why. What is it that you liked about that book? What drew you in? What hooked you? I want to hear people's thoughts because maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I'm missing part of the story arc, or maybe I'm missing, you know, some dialogue that would have like threaded this all together for me. You love it? Hey, I'm so happy if you love it, but just tell me why. That's what I want to know. Just kind of explain it to me, because maybe it might change my mind a little bit. I'm definitely not going to continue with it, but it might change my mind. So the next book that I did finish in July is Losers Part 1 by Harley LaRue. The Dare is the novella in this series, and it's very dark, it's very kinky, it's very erotic. So definitely make sure that you check Goodreads for the kink list and for trigger warnings, because there is a whole lot of smut going on, a whole lot of BDSM smut that's going on, and it is erotica. It's kind of like an erotica novel, but what's different is you have actually a really good storyline. You have very well fleshed out characters. So, you know, it keeps you gripped into the story while, you know, all of this smut's going on. But you're following Jess, who is supposed to be the girl in high school that was so popular and looked down on everybody. And, you know, here we are 3 or 4 years after she was in high school. And, you know, the losers, or the people that come from the wrong side of the tracks, basically the ones the jocks look down on, you know, come to help her, and then she ends up in kind of a contract bargain with them, and things go from there. So definitely check this out if any of that intrigues you. If you are a dark romance reader, if you are someone who loves erotica but wants a very good storyline and fleshed out characters, I gave this 4 stars. Absolutely loved it, adored it. Can't wait to read part 2 because I love the whole cast of characters. So if any of that intrigues you, like I said, check the kink list, check the trigger warnings before you dive into this series. And I do suggest read The Dare before you do. It's just a little 140-page novella, but it will set up who these guys are and who she is and how she came to be in their lives originally, and it'll help this story flow so much better. And then finally, the final book that I read in July is Blood Sanctuary Part 1 by Vila Roth. So this is the 3rd book in the Blood Grace series. I can't tell you much about this book, but basically you're following Cassia and Leo as they traverse through Tenebra and Orthros, and they are trying to politically sway both of their ruling parties into coming into an agreement of, you know, peace and prosperity. And so, you know, you are following them. It's a political fantasy, it is a romance, there are spicy scenes, but it is very dialogue heavy, very politically heavy, and also very proper writing, that it does take a little bit to get used to. It is not a fast series at all. You are not going to fly through the books as quickly as you would just a romance. But if you like political fantasies and you like hearing about all the dialogue around you, and you like to get down to the nitty gritty of almost every conversation someone has, you would love this book. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to start book 4. But that's what we have going on with that. So that is all the books that I read in July. I'm going to see if I can try to pick them up. Highly doubt that I can, but there we go. You know what? I'm pretty happy with how July went. I had some hit or miss books. I had some that I loved, had some that I didn't quite love. But for the most part, I think that I had a pretty good month. And then please leave me a comment below and let me know if you have read any of these books, what your thoughts are on them, what you liked or didn't like. Please talk to me about Between Wrath and Mercy. I have questions. I need to know what's going on, like why you like it so much. Maybe it might intrigue me to read the second one. But definitely make sure that you head on over to my Patreon so you can be in our book club. And then also you can be a member to get exclusive content and things that will not be here on this channel. But I hope everyone is having a good start to your August, and I will see you next time. Bye!